We are so grateful for all of you. You got the government to reopen on time for the summit, which we appreciate. It's the kind of power you have. I was counting on you on the polar vortex. You couldn't do that, though. So you're 1 for 2, but in baseball terms, that'll get you into the Hall of Fame, so that's not bad. I oftentimes, every year, and no more than this year, as I look at 1,300 of you, a record. So please give yourselves a round of applause for that. One year, maybe when the technology gets a little bit better, I'll have to ask our folks at LinkedIn. I'll come up here with one of those cameras on my glasses, and you'll be able to see what I see. Because what I see are heroes and allies and backbones and the collective force and fuel behind the movement to ensure every young person has the relationships they need to strive and thrive. I feel privileged to be with all of you as we reflect on progress and possibility, as we celebrate righteous struggle, the deliberate sacrifice, and the stubborn progress of equity and the quest for universal human rights. We are 1,300 strong from 47 states, 10 countries, Puerto Rico, and the district. Yeah. You are the people and organizations who deliver on the promise of meaningful relationship for our young people every day. And it's not just delivering on the promise for our young people, it's also allowing folks to act on their own values. You may have seen in a recent campaign we've done with My Brother's Keeper Alliance, the call sign was, if you want to stand for something, stand with someone. Standing with our young people is more important than ever. As we collectively try to make sense of these times and where we're headed. As our kids interpret what they see and hear, find and use their voices, and we wrestle to set a course. And in these times, I've searched, as I'm sure you have, I've searched for the words of this speech, the responses to my children and my mentee, kitchen conversations with my wife, Kristen, or with colleagues on the periphery of a meeting. And I just keep coming back to the same true north in these choppy waters. That we are a nation of many stories, that no one has a monopoly on our identity. That we are not a fixed idea, we are one with limited possibilities. That the power lies in our communities and their everyday rhythms, even as they are advanced or repressed by national policies and systemic inequities. We write our own stories. We train our ears and eyes. We put one foot in front of the other. We choose how and where to stand, and most importantly, with whom. The stories provide perspective, something to hold fast to sort through the shouting and define the resolve for action. At Mentor, we have the privilege to serve all of you and to bear witness to these stories of courageous, resilient, innovative parents, educators, faith-based leaders, public servants, and organizations, communities that show the way to solutions. They thread together our shared humanity, our prosperity, and our fate. There are so many stories that uplift our resolve and resiliency, but I just want to share one. About a month ago, I found myself in Milwaukee, a great place to be in January. All the hot spots you get to go to when you run Mentor. The moment had actually started 2 years ago when President Obama's administration held a My Brother's Keeper town hall in the Bucks Arena and truly listened and were attuned to the voices of young people in the community who said, we need better, more coordinated, and more mentoring. Mayor Barrett, the school system, the NBA, and the Bucks partnered with us, and eventually we got to that moment. As you all know, of launching programs, we got to that moment of launching our newest affiliate, Mentor Greater Milwaukee. And while the launch of one of our affiliates, the backbone and lifeblood of all we do at Mentor, would in and of itself serve as a watershed moment, that's not the story I want to tell. A person of power and grace and eloquence stood on the stage to close us out. She spoke of being 15 years old and already a mother, and the weight of still needing to grow up herself while raising a child of her own. And then of a mentor who came into her life, who became a fulcrum to turn on and a gateway to many more mentors who would help her change the course of her life. She then pointed at that mentor who, after all these years, had shown up once again from across the country for this big moment. That speaker was Alicia Moore, the inaugural executive director of Mentor Greater Milwaukee. I think she's here and she deserves a round of applause. There she is. Thanks, Alicia. She is leading a movement in the very city where she found a mentor all those years ago. And her work alongside so many will ensure young people have the mentors to meet them where they're at and empower them to write their own stories. You are helping to author stories like Alicia's every day. Ones that show what is possible when we reach up, show up, when we provide on-ramps to get back on track. This is what it looks like when we're allies, not saviors. It looks like our work with many of you on the 5-city pilot national mentoring project, pairing relationship supports with job opportunities, or working with school districts to confront absenteeism with success mentors. And further, in the continuing debate about how to make our schools safe, you know our best tools to keep students safe are to make sure they feel connected with a sense of purpose, belonging, and agency. Nothing else will work. Relationships must be at the center and not the periphery of schools and everywhere young people grow and develop. We are building the bridges and writing the stories that demonstrate the ambition, resolve, and opportunity of young people and our nation. And the data tells a similar story. Americans are overwhelmingly crossing racial, economic, and other bridges to mentor young people outside their own families. And we are working to evolve and expand our resources and tools to help people cross those bridges, reflecting the diversity and depth of mentoring and our young people. And stories of connection contain power, as you heard up here. They mobilized almost 100 people in the last year to search to become mentors through our campaigns. 8 in 10 Americans agree on something. That's the first sort of amazing point. But what they agree on is your work. They agree that there should be public investment in mentoring, a proof point that helped us protect and increase what is now $94 million of direct investment at OJJDP. And we believe that the stories told yesterday by a record-breaking 500 advocates on the Hill and 250 congressional meetings will increase that number and help us move even more legislation that leverages mentoring, your great work, to solve problems and better bind communities. But we're not naive about the headwinds, that while our fabric is being woven by millions and by all of you, it can be tragically torn asunder by the acts of a few. We have been reminded that fear, hatred, and division are powerful elixirs, that even in an age of constant connection, too many are lonely. A recent study reveals that half of Americans say they do not have one meaningful in-person interaction in a day. And the loneliest age category? 18 to 22-year-olds. And both our isolation and our polarization call for us to urgently accelerate our movement. Because if there is any role that mentoring plays in advancing this democracy, it is this. Mentoring programs allow people to see each other through each other's eyes. There is no more powerful force than that. Our goal with this summit and every day is to play some part in fueling, telling, and hearing the stories that make up the promise and greatness of our dynamic and diverse nation. On behalf of Mentor, we're so grateful to be doing this alongside all of you. This is what a movement looks like and how we show up, stand up, and deliver together. Here's to the next chapter of our story and the opportunity to allow every one of our young people to write their own. Thank you so very much. Have a great day.